Hello, I'm Auli Gia. I'm your teacher on this course, Creating Insight into Customers and End Users. This session is about collecting information, learning about tools and methods. Big question, what information is valuable? All information has its price. What do you actually need? The world is full of information. What part of information is important for you? We cannot collect all information. We can't learn about everything about everything. We have to concentrate, make choices. Here's also in running a marketing study, it's also very much about making the right choices, planning and making the right choices. Planning, making the first plan about what you're going to do, what do you need, what is the best information, what is the most valuable information, and how are you going to collect this, and then do the step 2. During this course we will be basically concentrating on these steps 1 and 2. We will not be having time to use very much on this analyzing and reflecting phase, the final phase, though analyzing and reflecting are an essential part of all the choice and decision processes that you have to do already earlier in the study. So let's have a closer look on the planning phase. What information you need and why. I presume you need a very targeted, specific information for developing some product or service. You want to know something maybe about other products or in general about the consumers in a specific context or specific area. You can clearly answer why you need this information, and you have to try to be very clear about what information is needed. All information has a price. With this I mean that it always takes time and money to collect information. Here you see my 2 little doggies, Bonita and Sisu. They're absolutely an exception in the way that for them it doesn't cost very much to be observing. This is really general observation about anything that's happening. They would spend their whole day on the sunny terrace and having a small nap in between, and then raising up and having a good look around. Did anything new happen? I'm very happy that they're doing this kind of observation, because they're keeping away the mice and lizards. They're my little watchdogs. What information is available? All kind of information is available. Is it available close to you or in the specific place where you are, or do you have to travel somewhere to gather this information? What information is valuable? For me it is valuable that my dogs notice the eventual passing of a mouse or a bigger lizard. I wouldn't want to have them in my house. So it's good that the dogs will be chasing them and chasing them away and raising my awareness of the situation. There are a lot of methods for gathering information. The methods to be chosen depend quite a lot on the goal that you have for whole study. It is therefore very important that you understand the limitations and restrictions of all methods, but also take into consideration the time and money you have to use on this kind of a study. For example, as a student, you will be doing your bachelor or later on your master degree, and you will have a certain amount of work to fulfill. But anyhow, the study you should do should not exceed these expectations, because you wouldn't be finishing your studies. If you're working and obtaining a salary, getting a salary for your work, then your employer is very interested in knowing how much time you are spending, how much of his money are you spending to collect some information. So you have to be precise in planning what you're going to do and how you're going to do. We will have later on at the end of this session a small look on ethical matters. They are issues to be taken into consideration from the first beginning. Here I'd like to give you a general look into the choice of methods. This is really a question of generalization and not so-called golden rules. If you want to get information about human activities and make some evaluations on this, analysis on this base, then direct observation is a very good solution. It gives a lot of information, and the way observing and defining the thing to observe, the place to observe, and planning the observation gives you the precise, leads you to this information in the best way. If you want, on the other hand, to know something more about individuals and their private affairs, decisions, choices, then you would get the information better through an interview, questionnaire, diary, or user study. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, experiences, beliefs are very difficult to get touch on. Interview, very well planned questionnaires, attitude scales are good choices. Whereas human capacities, intelligence, personality are best studied with the help of standardized tests. In this session, our interest will be more focusing on observation. In contrast to my little doggies who were observing everything that was happening, we are now talking about systematic observation, a scientific method which is based on precise planning. And with this, you can collect both qualitative and quantitative data, or either or. You can observe individuals as well as groups in the situation of buying, choosing, using products or services, the way people do things, or the frequency of events in a specific environment, condition, or context. Verbal and nonverbal communication. Observation is especially useful when you have communication problems, like you would have, for example, among foreigners. If you don't speak the language, it's very handy to observe people. But it would be the case also for a small child or elderly people suffering from dementia. Observation is useful also when you want to gather information without arising interest and awareness among the target group. If, for example, in caring units, wishing to know how physical contact is influencing elderly people. Are they more calm? Is dementia people when they are having often physical contact with the caring personnel or among each other? This method of observation is absolutely a good choice when you want to know something about a completely unknown phenomenon. The first information is most easily collected through observing it. There are different types of observation. First of all, concerning the place where this observation is taking. If you let's say we have two absolute contrasts, the naturalistic observation taking place in the natural setting, and then on the contrast, a laboratory observation where you're observing behavior in a laboratory setting. In the naturalistic setting, the observing happens without the awareness or manipulation or intervention. In the laboratory context, the observation can happen so that the people or animals that you are observing are aware of your observation or not. If you want to observe without the participants knowing it, you can use a web camera or a tinted glass. Episodic observation aims at revealing a specific type of event or behavior, so that the observer waits for this event or behavior to happen and take place, and then describes it as well as the whole situation and place in very detail. On the other hand, there are different types of observation related to time and timing. Continuous observation means observation that lasts for a certain time, and after that it finishes, and the observer writes down and documents and all the elements that were captured. Episodic observation is an observation that is for example, the observation takes place only when this episode or phenomenon happens. You waited for it to happen, you document it. For example, if you want to observe birds by the sunset, you have to wait for the sunset to happen, and then you observe the nature, and there you have to document very precisely where you did this observation, at what time, in which kind of a surrounding, which country, which place, etc. And then there is this timed observation. That, for example, you have a restaurant with a self-service line, and you want to know, you're aware that there is crowd formation at the self-service counter, and you want to know how this crowd formation happens. So you could, for example, decide that you during lunchtime from 11 to 1 you would be observing, uh, making observations every 10 minutes for the time of 1 minute, and then after 1 minute you stop observation, you write down your notes, then you keep a pause of 10 minutes, and then you do again this observation, and then you stop. And so this is timed observation. You can also decide that if you want to observe people using a specific shopping center, a continuous observation would bring far too much information, so you can use timed observation and decide that you observe one person every 15 minutes. So you observe for 1 minute one person or or a small group of people for a minute, and then you make a 15 minutes pause, and then again you choose the people who enter the shopping center 15 minutes later, and then when they've entered you stop, and then you keep another 15 minutes time, a pause. In the beginning I mentioned the ethical issues. These are really important when you're planning any kind of study. They also should always be taken into consideration, and in this way human rights respected. Basically, all participants should always have the possibility of refusing participation and interrupting it if they don't want to continue, and you should also be prepared to telling people of how for which purpose are you collecting information, how will this information will be used. Basically, there is no need to collect real names, and therefore I really recommend you to use nicknames, not only for people but also for companies. Hide the identity so that you won't be hurting anyone's rights, insulting any company. You can always describe people and all kind of enterprises in a more generic way. And after collecting, if you however have to collect, for example, information such as addresses or emails, be sure that this kind of information doesn't get into second hands, to the hands of some outsider. It is best to destroy all documents and data after using it. Remember to be polite and respectful towards people always when doing your study. The field work is to obtain the best information with the limited resources. Where will you do it? When will you do it? How will you do it? Or if you can't do it, or if you're not the one who will do it, who will actually do it? Planning is here a very important element. Where and when? Where does this phenomenon occur most evidently? And if it's not accessible in its original surrounding, does it occur also in some other surrounding which is more available to you? And if it's and if is are do you have all the resources, the people, the technical solutions available in the surrounding that you have chosen? When are the resources actually available? It might be so that, for example, the people you want to observe would be more relaxed and free to participate during summertime, during vacation time, but is the study personnel available then? Does this timing influence the results? Is it actually so that it would be, however, important to observe the phenomenon in the more inconvenient time, because it is actually only occurring then? Well planned is half done. There are always several ways of doing things. The important thing is that you decide, you make the choices in advance. How are you going to do it? Make a timetable, make as detailed plans as possible, so you won't forget anything, and then you know exactly in advance how you assure the best outcome of the study. Then you won't be losing resources, spending vanishly resources. Now, if you won't be the person who will be observing, who is it then? Who knows most of the requirements and goals of the study? If it's not sufficient that you're doing it, how many observers do you need? And if there are more than you coming in, how will you be training these others? Does the same observer observe the phenomenon from the beginning to the end? Maybe the phenomenon lasts so long that you can't be one observer wouldn't be able to do it. How can you assure that the observation is done precisely in the same way during the whole time? Documentation is crucial. You need notebooks, you need a recording machine. Cameras are very useful, and videotaping can bring very good information, especially when you're working alone. However, if you take photos or use videos, it's important, or even audio recording, it's important to ask permission from the participants. And think also about how this recording might influence the participants. How can you do it in such a way that this recording as such disturbs the phenomenon as little as possible? Good observer is someone who is interested in the study and willing to do the work, interested in general in human behavior, and keen to learn more about the underlying factors of behavior. Quite alert also to possible reactions, signs, symbols, and easily adapts to various new situations and social contexts. You have to be somewhat psychologically solid so that you won't be showing your feelings or getting upset if something suddenly happens. That, on the contrary, you should be in a position of rather creating confidence without, however, attracting special attention. This was the end of this session. I thank you very much.